Moving straight on to Andrea Cardellicchio. Are you there? Can you hear us, Andrea? Yes, you're there.
Yes, I'm here.
Over to you
first
directly.
Of all, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Perfectly.
Congratulations for pronouncing my last name correct. So far, you're the only one.
Oh, well, thanks to Joseph Musil for telling me.
So I think you will have my slide on screen.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So okay, yeah, I can see them now, so I'll start. I think I can control myself. That's great. So I will start by sharing a few information on Telespacio. Telespacio, for those who don't know, is a global satellite service provider with quite of an heritage. We are turning 60 this year. But we like to say that we have the same startup spirit of the founders. Telespacio is based in Italy, but is headquartered in Italy actually, but based in all European countries and in Latin America with the subsidiaries and the proprietary space center. Let's say within the space industry value chain, we cover the midstream segment, saying that we provide ground segment systems and operations, and the downstream part, providing application and services in telecommunication, in Earth observation, navigation, and also in space situational awareness, which is the focus of my presentation today. So let's see during this presentation how SSA can help and support space mining. So far, the market drivers for SSA are mainly two. On the one side, space traffic management, due to the high number of satellite and debris we have in orbit, and on the other side is intelligence. In order to get the possibility to have the awareness of what's happening to our satellites. But as this space is evolving towards an operational domain, there are new space missions that we are seeing, like the active debris removal mission, the in-orbit servicing mission, and also the in-situ resource utilization mission. To target such mission, we are going to need a new toolbox of enhanced SSA services. So let's see now which are the tools we have available to support such mission. In Telespacio, we have a service-based approach. We favor this approach, and in fact, I've tried to capture in this slide the integration of all SSA services. So if you start from the left-hand side, you can see the space, the satellite surveillance and tracking area, which is the fundamental services. So basically, this is where you get data from your sensor and integrate to have a basic awareness of what's going on. Then, I mean, you can complement such information also with space weather information, meaning the assessment of impact of solar phenomenon to satellites. If you complement this information with policies, procedures, and rules, you get to the space traffic management. So far, we stayed, let's say, in the civil domain. So we're still in sustainable use of space and most valuable orbits. But if you keep on adding value to the information and services you gathered so far, you enter in the intelligence domain, and we start talking about space domain awareness. In this area, in fact, you can also characterize a resident space object and start making more valuable analysis, like the anomaly detection. The final aim is to get to what we call the recognized space picture, so a complete awareness of what's going on in the space domain. Now, what is Telespacio doing today? Let's say, being a global satellite operator, this is really our bread and butter. In fact, Telespacio is already providing collision avoidance services to the Italian and French MOD, for instance, but also to commercial user through during the LEO phase. We're doing this thanks to our, let's say, flight dynamics capability, and also to the proprietary tool we have developed to refine the collision risk assessment. But we're also providing higher value-added services, like the anomaly detection we are performing for the French MOD. And we are preparing also to support future mission. I can only mention here what we're going to do within the Space Rider mission, which is a re-entry mission. So it will require complex flight dynamics analysis and operations. So it was natural for Telespacio also to propose a portfolio of SSA services. We can group them in three macro areas. The first one is space weather, where we do have a proprietary algorithm to assess and predict the impact of ionospheric phenomenon. Then we have a second set of services, which is dedicated to space traffic management, where we are able to gather and fuse information from different sources, and also inject customer data, like orbital data, into these services. And finally, we have a third block of space intelligence services, where Telespacio will play the role of trusted operator for the most important European MODs. As data and sources is very important for this kind of application. Telespacio is also targeting to get more information, and in fact, we are integrating also space-based information into our SSA set of services. As Telespacio is a firm believer of space-based sensor, we have invested in a Canadian startup whose name is Northstar. You can see it on slide. That is proposing to develop a constellation of LEO satellite that is taking optical-based information to support space situational awareness, and we are going to be able to integrate such information into our suite of services. But let's get now to how SSA can support space mining. So if you take a look at the classical in situ resource utilization value chain that was developed by Euroconsult, you can see that there are several steps where SSA can support space mining. The most obvious is, of course, during transportation phase back and forth from the Earth. In that case, of course, SSA can assist during interplanetary voyages to provide a safer transfer, and also during the launch and re-entry phase, if they are part of this mission, in order to let's say avoid the collision problem with existing traffic and with asteroids. But probably the most interesting use is during the surveying phase. In fact, you can look at this phase like the oil and gas exploration industry. And with this analogy, probably we can replicate the same integrated approach I was describing before, to, let's say, observe, select, identify and target the most promising asteroid for space mining. This will also help to, let's say, envisage the optimum mission, optimizing the orbits, the required delta V, and also assess the perturbation of the asteroid orbit where landing on asteroid. Finally, as seen in the integrated approach, we can transfer the same concept of having multiple sources of information in order to refine the information we need to target a possible space mining mission. And in this framework, in this environment, probably also the LEO space-based information we are going to get from NORSAR will play a role and help better characterize the target and also understand if there is the let's say the possibility and the need to send a probe. So this was my final slide. I guess you should have also my contact through the platform if there are other questions, but I'm also available right now if there are questions already on the portal.
Thank you very, very much indeed. I'm following the chat, which is mostly about the Outer Space Treaty and what qualifies as a weapon or not, and whether Apophis needs to be thwarted. But Thorsten says no need. Collision with Earth is ruled out about 4 weeks ago for at least a century, so we should be okay. But if you have any thoughts on what qualifies, and I've already put this to Patrick as well in the chat, what qualifies as the use of a weapon in outer space? I mean, certain things have been said in treaties, and certain people mentioned that not everybody signed up to the Outer Space Treaty. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, this is, let's say, a developing, how can I say, it's a developing story. As of now, probably there is the need also to review those treaties. And I must say that so far there are only a few examples of weapon in space. And I mean, for hopefully this will stay like this for a long time. But let's say we have to be prepared to also to possible future scenario, and we must also admit that weapon in space can also be, let's say, non-kinetic. I mean, you don't have to think of a missile, let's say, crashing a satellite. There can be also more subtle weapon like spy satellite or jamming satellite. And unfortunately, these technologies are already available. So for against such technologies, you have to be, let's say, prepared well in advance.
Thank you, Andrea, for pointing that out as well. And as a victim of car jamming, I can imagine that the same thing can be done in space.